What is up, everybody? Good morning. This is Tim Williams here to look back on yesterday's DraftKings NBA slate for February 27th. Um, I had a rough go of it last night. Let's take a look at my lineup here and kind of analyze what went wrong and what went right. Um, I admit last night I didn't do as much research as I normally would, and I still played. But I went with my gut. I did pay attention to who was in, who was out, um, and just had a good feeling about certain games like the New Orleans and Spurs game, which did have a high point total. Just sometimes you just pick the wrong guys. So first on my lineup, total I scored 243.50, which is not going to get you anywhere you want to be. But I started off with Lonzo Ball. Um, he put up 26 points. Not great. I thought that was a good matchup for him. Clarkson was kind of a last minute addition. When we got the news that Mike Conley was out, I figured he was going to be high owned, but he kind of just had a normal Clarkson game. He put up 33 points. Moving on, Minnesota, Minnesota, Washington, this game was a game I definitely wanted to target. And I just didn't get enough guys, but I did have Edwards in, and he put up almost 36 points, which is great. We'll take a look at some of the winning lineups, and you'll see that a lot of those guys were from that Minnesota Washington game. Next, I had Zion Williamson put up another classic Zion game, almost 50 points. That's exactly what you need, if not a little bit better. And here's kind of one of the reasons where I kind of failed at this lineup. It was Steven Adams, low owned. He's had two amazing games back to back. Just didn't have it. Six rebounds, 3 assists, a turnover, and 7 points. That's not good. 18 and a half points. DeJounte Murray, 45. Love it. Here's another pivot from last night. I kind of forget who I had in, but I saw that Chetty Osman was going to be benched or injured. So I went with Dean Wade, and he started out rough. And I was like, great, there goes the night. But that Cleveland Philly game actually went into overtime. Wade put up 23. It's all you need from a guy who has that low of a salary. And then my last play, thought it was going to be a smash, super low owned, less than 3% in this contest, single entry contest, I should say. DeAndre Jordan stunk it up. Just got me 12 points. That was rough game for Brooklyn. I think for a lot of people, a lot of people were high on Harden and some of the other guys. I know originally I really was kind of set on having Bruce Brown in there, but Jordan did not do great at all, and that was kind of a rough game. But that's what happens in daily fantasy sports. 9 out of 10 times Brooklyn's going to just smash and crush it, but then they end up losing a game to a Dallas Mavericks type team. I mean, these guys are human. But this is why we play. We play for fun. We play and look to get better. So kind of a half my lineup did great, half did bad. Let's look at the winner of last night's contest, S Baker 000. If it'll let me. There we go. So looking at his lineup, I see a lot of, we got 2 Minnesota guys, and then he had Brandon Ingram in that game. Like Ingles, who would have predicted that? I mean, with Conley out, I guess, all those guys get more minutes. It's kind of just a dart throw as to who's going to have the game. Vanderbilt was a guy I was definitely considering last night. 40% owned. That is crazy, but he did put up 33 points, which is fantastic. Um, yeah, I guess with him, I worry about foul trouble, and he generally never really passes like the 23-25 minute mark, but you know, you can't think that way sometimes, and you just have to plug and play. And of course, he gets a double double. Derrick Rose was a guy I faded. I don't know why. I just the Knicks are guys I don't really like to play. I played those guys the other night. They did great, but I didn't expect those guys. Some of those Knicks players played like 35, 38, 40 minutes. But Rose absolutely crushed it, and that really paid off for him. Um, some of these other lineups, like Milton was a guy I was interested with Harris out, and I didn't go there. And generally, I like him as a cheap option, and for his salary, 4,200, 27 points is insane. You know, Embiid just crushed it. If I paid attention a little bit more, like I know Brogdon was out and McConnell gets in the lineup. So, you know, you kind of have to ride the hot streak. You kind of have to look at the high point totals. Congratulations to these guys. Fantastic lineups. Like who puts in Danny Green, and he gets you 26 and a half. Like those guys are going to have games like that. The Lonnie Walker, 4,300 only puts up 23, but that's acceptable. That's great. That gives you flexibility to pay up for guys like Embiid and Beal, um, and Randall. It's like you hit on those three big names and you get pretty decent production everywhere else. You should be in a pretty good spot to cash in some lineups. But so yeah, overall looking back, it's tough slate, but what are you going to do? You just kind of lick your wounds and move on. And um, yeah, you just move on to the next day. So looking at that, actually not even sure who's playing today. Let's just check this out. In other news, though, huge news today, and I'm just saying that baseball is back. Today is the first day of spring training, and baseball is by far my favorite sport, by far my most successful DraftKings DFS play. So I am very stoked on that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I have a lot of baseball content for the season. Very pumped on that. So looks like we have a pretty decent slate here. But Washington, Boston, that should be kind of a fun game, actually. Chicago, Toronto. Toronto's actually, I feel like Toronto guys are generally fairly inexpensive. Like 8,500 is the highest. And with Siakam out, I love like Powell, Anobi, Lowry had a huge game. His salary went up like $1,100. All worth it. Honestly, this might be a good game to stack. New York, Detroit, New York coming off that back-to-back. There's no way in hell Derrick Rose is going to play all those minutes again. So maybe it might be a game to look at like quickly. Houston, I never really know what's going on with them. Oladipo is out, so you can take your chance with John Wall. The last like few games I've had Wall in, he's kind of stunk it up. So it's 8,300 is kind of a hefty price to pay. Houston generally is now a team I probably would just stay away from. Memphis, Morant for sure. 7,200's cheap. I will probably go there, to be honest. Valanciunas as well. That's a good one. Golden State, Lakers. That looks to be a good game, a high scoring one. Maybe a lot of those mid-tier value guys might be the way to go. Curry, LeBron look awesome. Well, I missed a game here. Miami, Atlanta. Love Butler. Always play Jimmy Butler. Adebayo, questionable. I had him actually in some of my lineups the other night when he was questionable until right before lock. And he just absolutely smashed. So keep an eye on that. Don't be scared of that Q tag if he does play. Atlanta, your guess is as good as mine. Probably a good play though. Minnesota on a back-to-back. You could take your chances there. Phoenix, I feel like they kind of go low owned. Booker, Paul, just absolute studs. Paul's been amazing for 7,800. That might be a good guard play right there. And then Sacramento, Charlotte, LaMelo, Terry, PJ, all not bad plays. Sacramento, Fox is 8,600. His price went up. Halliburton's out. Holmes, Barnes, Bagley, love those guys. Maybe pass on Hield and the rest of the field. But those are the early looks for today's slate. I'll dive in a little bit deeper, but the biggest news for me, baseball is back. Hopefully they play a full season. We'll see. Knock on wood. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you guys had a successful night. I did not, but anyways, you move on from that and you have fun with it and just stay positive and do your thing, do your homework, connect with others, and take care of each other. You have a nice day.